This is insanity. This cannot be the society that we are expected to live in. We have to do better. We've done what we've put at the state level to try and find ways for it to be harder to get guns into people's hands. But this is the problem with too many guns in too many hands of people that make life and death decisions. It is not okay. Something has to give. This isn't how I anticipated this Sunday. For the 28 families that were directly impacted, I am so unbelievably sorry. To the hundreds that witnessed it and who will forever be changed, I'm sorry. And for the thousands and thousands of Marylanders who on this day will have to think about the mass shooting that occurred here in Baltimore, this isn't sustainable. Something has to give.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us on this Sunday night. Tonight, a manhunt is underway for at least 2 shooters behind a barrage of bullets at a Baltimore block party. What started as an evening of celebrations ended with dozens running for their lives.
Shooting in Baltimore leaves 2 dead and 28 wounded. Frustrated officials sought information from the public about the shooting, which happened early on Sunday at a block party in the city's southern neighborhood of Brooklyn. Baltimore officials pleaded on Sunday with residents to come forward with information about a shooting at a crowded neighborhood block party that left 2 people dead and 28 others wounded, many of them teenagers. A motive for the shooting, which was reported at 12:30 a.m. in Baltimore's southern neighborhood of Brooklyn, was unclear, but the authorities said there was more than one assailant. It was unclear whether the victims were targeted. Officials said an 18-year-old woman, Alea Gonzalez, was dead at the scene of the shooting, which happened at Brooklyn Homes, a public housing complex. A 20-year-old man, Kailis Fagbami, was later pronounced dead at a hospital, the police said. The victims were between 13 and 32 years old, the city's acting police commissioner, Colonel Richard Worley, said at a news conference Sunday afternoon. He said that the police were still confirming the ages of all of the victims, but that more than a dozen of them were under 18 years old. By Sunday afternoon, all but 9 of the victims had been discharged from hospitals. At the news conference, Brandon Scott, the city's mayor, called the shooting a reckless, cowardly act. He cited footage of the shooting, which surfaced on social media, and criticized adults in the community who did not intervene. He called for a better level of accountability and said the community should not condone some grown man filming some young person pull out a gun. He said those who witness dangerous behavior should contact law enforcement authorities instead of posting videos to get likes on Instagram. Among those with non-fatal injuries were girls, ages 13 and 14, 2 15-year-olds, 3 16-year-olds and 2 17-year-olds. Women injured were 2 18-year-olds, 3 19-year-olds, 1 20-year-old, 1 23-year-old and 1 32-year-old. Also injured were teenage boys, ages 13 and 15, 2 16-year-olds and 2 17-year-olds. There were also men with non-fatal injuries, 3 18-year-olds, 1 22-year-old and 1 31-year-old. Mr. Scott said that the shooting highlighted the need to address access to illegal guns and other factors that contribute to gun violence. In 2022, Baltimore recorded more than 300 homicides for the 8th consecutive year, despite new initiatives by city officials. In the first half of 2023, there had been 138, according to the Baltimore Sun. On Sunday afternoon, about 24 officers and detectives remained at the scene of the shooting. Shell casings and debris from the party, which officials described as an unauthorized event that drew hundreds, still littered the streets from the night before. The housing complex, with its squat brick buildings and maroon-colored front doors, has about 500 units for about 1,100 people. Amid all of the activity on Sunday, some residents peeked outside or sat on their front steps. A councilwoman who represents the neighborhood, Felicia Porter, said that the shooting was a wake-up call and asked community members to channel their anger into demands for meaningful change. This incident represents a grave failure of our systems, and it is completely unacceptable, she said. Larry Wallace, 60, a community activist who grew up a few blocks away from Brooklyn, said that the neighborhood was really rough. He said he was concerned for the young people of Baltimore. This year, there has been an increase in shootings involving children and teenagers, leading to an official city curfew for children 16 and younger. Alerts come to phones and through social media to remind residents that the city's youth need to be indoors by a certain time. The kids in this city need more to do, said Mr. Wallace, who has a teenage daughter. The mayor's office said that in response to the shooting, it would put resources in the neighborhood focused on addressing trauma and stabilizing the neighborhood in partnership with community-based organizations and city agencies. The state's attorney, Ivan J. Abates, expressed outrage about the shooting on Twitter and extended thoughts and prayers to the victims and their families. He added, "But we need more than thoughts and prayers, we need policy and change in Maryland, particularly in Baltimore. A policy that helps us hold repeat violent offenders accountable and reduces the number of illegal firearms in our communities."
Police say the suspects opened fire and shot 30 people, nearly half of them children. 2 of them died, including a teenager. It is unknown if this was a targeted attack, but we do know tonight this marks the 338th mass shooting in America so far this year. CBS's Scott McFarland spoke with someone who was there. He joins us from Baltimore Police Headquarters with more. Scott, I can't even imagine what that must have been like for all of the people who witnessed that.
Yeah, Jerika, this began as a holiday weekend tradition, a barbecue, party, music, and it ended up in a tragedy that has jolted this city. At a 4th of July weekend block party, at first the gunshots were mistaken for holiday fireworks.
This is a multi-generational event. You had young people, you had older folks, you had folks middle-aged like myself.
Another shooting at 805 right in the court. Caller says a sister was shot.
Witnesses describe a sea of bullets after midnight at what began as a family night of fun. At least 30 people shot, an 18-year-old woman and a 20-year-old man killed. And a night later, the search for suspects is still underway. Authorities say they're looking for multiple shooters.
We know for sure there is definitely more than one. We don't know exactly how many, but we do know more than one person was shooting.
This was a reckless, cowardly act of violence that has taken 2 lives and altered many, many more. And as I said earlier, we will find those who are responsible, and we will not stop until we do so.
And I think she got shot in her legs.
Laquel Nelson told CBS News she helped race one of the victims to the hospital.
And I just kept telling her, baby, just breathe slowly, just breathing it out, just breathing it out. I'm going to get you there. I'm going to get you there.
City police records show this was the 310th shooting so far this year in Baltimore, and one that has staggered a city at the start of what was supposed to be a week of celebrations.
It's crazy. It's just getting worse and worse. Yeah. Doesn't make no sense.
Kids as young as 13 were among the 30 victims, and at least 4 of them were taken to a pediatric emergency room. Jerika.
All right, Scott McFarland, thank you.